welcome back to the Lee-Fendall House Garden. My name is Amanda Roper and I'm the manager of interpretation here. We are standing out here on this toasty July day to talk a little bit about the herb garden that you're seeing behind me. We know that when the house and property was built in 1785, there would have been very quickly an herb garden developed on the property. It would not have been in this location. We don't know where exactly it would have been. But behind me, you can see this area was developed when the garden was renovated in the 1970s. And they put an herb garden back here because they wanted to use it for children's programs. And we know they ran a couple of programs during that time. But the garden part here was neglected for many years. We have revived it about 3 years ago, and we've been using it with a lot of success in the past couple of years to teach student audiences and visitors about the history of herbs as an important source for flavoring for foods and even medicine. So today we're going to be out here. Roger, our gardener, is going to take us around and talk about some of the herbs that are growing that we planted in the garden here and restored to the garden. Many of them were used for hundreds of years and definitely important historically. And many of them you're actually going to find you're probably familiar with today. They're still used. And so I'm going to turn things over to Roger, and he's going to take us through the garden and also tell us a little bit about the work that was done to restore the space to its present condition.
Okay, our herb garden is sort of broken into three different parts. This one is under this willow oak here. 3 years ago when we started this project, we had a lot of shade from this tree, which is not a good thing for an herb garden. If you notice on the tree, we have cut off some of the lower branches, and we did increase the light quite a bit, but this fall we're even going to open it up some more, so there'll be more light. The soil 3 years ago was not very good. We brought in some soil, and we have a compost pile out back here, and we recently brought more in here, and it's starting to look better all the time. So we've been planting a number of species in here. I'm going to go through and just describe briefly, and Amanda's going to follow me around and focus in on the plant when I talk, okay? So the first one I want to mention is the chamomile, right here. The chamomile, you're probably very familiar. It's a very important herbal tea. You steep it for 10 to 15 minutes. You use 2 teaspoons of flowers per cup. It's a very important tea. It's been used for a long, long time. It's an annual plant in the sunflower family. This one right here is our garden thyme, Thymus vulgaris. This has been used in cooking as an herbal medicine and as a ground cover. And the flowers, leaves, and oil of the thyme. Now the oil is produced by steam distillation. Okay, so it's been used in that process for a long time, and it's a perennial plant in the mint family. That's our thyme. Now back here, I'm sure you're all very familiar with the basil. The basil is a culinary plant. It's very important. It's been around for a long, long time. It's used commonly in fresh recipes, as cooking quickly destroys the flavor of the basil. And the essential oil has antifungal and insect repelling properties. And also, as you're very familiar with, the leaves are used in making a wonderful pesto.
Now, Roger, can you tell us a little bit about these wonderful signs that we have here in the garden?
Oh yes, Amanda. We had a wonderful person, Major Kelly Williams for the U.S. Air Force, help us make these. She made them in her apartment, and she told me when she painted them, she got some paint on the walls. Well, she took care of that. But she made 11 or 12 of these wonderful educational signs that are very important in teaching our youth about herbs. Well, let's step over here. This oregano right here. You're all familiar with oregano. It's beautifully in bloom right now. It's gorgeous. And obviously it's a culinary herb. It's been used for a long, long time. The leaves primarily, and when they're dried, they're more flavorful than when they're fresh. It's really good. I was in Greece last year, and they grind up these leaves and they put them onto Greek salads and really make them taste good. So that's oregano. We have a round-leafed oregano back here too. So we have 2 different species of oregano. Okay, now this over here is this one over here is catnip. You're all familiar with catnip. You have cats, right? Well, it's been used as a medicinal herb for a long, long time. It's sort of fallen out of favor now because there's pharmaceutical drugs that have replaced it. But the plant's been consumed as a tea, a juice, and a tincture. A tincture is an extract of the plant material dissolved in ethanol. And it's the essential oil from this plant is a repellent against mosquitoes. And this is a perennial plant in the mint family. Excuse me. This one back here, Amanda, is the curled parsley. This is a biennial, so this is a second year of growth now. So we'll have to replant that next spring. Yes, and the next plant I wanted to show you in this part of our herb garden are chives. Chives are a member of the onion family. And in culinary use, the green stalks and the unopened immature flower buds are diced and used in soups, omelets, potatoes, and many other dishes. And this is a perennial plant, as I mentioned, in the onion family. So let's move on to the cilantro over here. And another one of the beautiful signs that Kelly Williams did for us. Fantastic artwork. So you're all pretty familiar with the cilantro, I'm sure. All parts of the plant are edible. The fresh leaves and the dried seeds are the parts most traditionally used in cooking. Cilantro is an annual in the celery family. So this thing will not be here after the fall, so next year we'll have to plant it again, either by seed by ourselves or we purchase a plant. But we want to use it for education. So that's the end of this portion of the tour. Okay, this area was restored fairly recently. About 3 years ago, this was all honeysuckle. They grew up to the height of this garden shed, and we have enough honeysuckle around here. So we still retained a honeysuckle hedge. Not saying that we got rid of all of it, but we wanted to create another portion of our herb garden right here. So this is the results of that. You notice it's up against a brick wall here. It's our garden shed. And that brick wall actually helps a lot because it radiates heat. So in the wintertime, we don't have as much problem with freezing, especially with the rosemary in the back and the rue in the front. So let's start with this one right here. This is the common rue. You see how beautiful it is? It's still flowering a little bit and the seeds are developing. Now rue was cultivated as a medicinal herb and as a condiment. So it was used to add flavoring. And to a lesser extent used in insect repellents. It's been used in medieval times as a medicinal herb. As I mentioned, it has culinary use. One thing about rue, though, is you have to heavily mulch it in the winter around here so to prevent freezing. We've had excellent luck with this over the past few winters. This one right here you're probably very familiar with is lavender. It's all done flowering now. The flowers and the leaves are used as an herbal medicine, either in the form of oil or an herbal tea. Oil of lavender can be used in balms, salves, perfumes, and cosmetics, and in massage therapy. So this is a wonderful plant. Dried lavender leaves also are used to protect against moths that feed on clothing. This is a perennial plant in the mint family. Okay, back here another plant you're very familiar with is the rosemary. The rosemary is also a culinary herb. The leaves are used to flavor foods such as stuffing and roast meats. It's also a decorative plant and it's used to control pests. The oil of this plant, the rosemary, is used in aromatherapy and burned as an incense. So this is a woody perennial herb in the mint family. Let's go over here and look at one last plant in this particular part of our garden. This is Salvia. It's a member of the sage family, Salvia nemorosa, or the Woodland Sage it's called. It's easy to grow and propagate. It's been passed on by gardeners for many, many years because it's such an easy plant to grow. It has been used to stop bleeding in Asia area, we know. It is a perennial plant in the mint family. So that's the end of our second portion of the herb garden. We'll finish in the last one where we're in the formal garden. Okay, this is the third portion of our herb garden. It's actually part of the formal garden. And as I understand from Amanda, actually the old gardens actually did combine herbs with more of a formal setting. I just wanted to point out a few plants here. We have this beautiful plant called lemon verbena right here. Lemon verbena is a very popular plant right now. It's used to add a lemon flavor to fish and poultry. vegetables, salad dressings, jams, puddings, Greek yogurt, and beverages. It's widely used. The leaves are used to make herbal teas. They have a wonderful lemon scent. Beautiful. The leaves are also used in the perfume industry. They use the oil that comes from steam distillation. It's a tender perennial in the Verbena family, and you can't leave it out over the winter here in Virginia. You have to take it indoors. Okay, the next plant I wanted to show you here is lemon thyme. Another lemon. We have 3 lemon plants here. Lemon thyme is used as an ornamental, culinary purposes, and medicinal. The leaves right here, notice it's flowering right now too, beautiful, and the insects love it, pollinators. The leaves are used to eaten raw in salads or as a dried flavoring used in cooking and for herbal teas. The essential oil is also very important. Again, essential oil means the essence is preserved. It's usually produced by steam distillation processing. As I mentioned, the nectar on these flowers is used by bees, so that's good for our garden. It's an evergreen, mat-forming perennial in the mint family. Okay? The last lemon-like plant I want to talk about is this very tall lemon balm. And Amanda and I just had a cup of lemon balm tea inside, so it's, we use it for teas. And it's also used as a flavoring and medicinally. Also, the tea is used in alternative medicine, including aromatherapy. As a flavoring, it is used in ice cream and in herbal teas. It's added to like peppermint tea to improve the flavor. Lemon balm is paired with fruit dishes or candies and in fish dishes. And it's a main ingredient in lemon balm pesto. Okay, it's also a bee attractant for honey production. So that's the end of our 3 lemon plants. I wanted to talk about tarragon briefly. Tarragon is also used for culinary and medicinal purposes. You notice how the plant is lying down like this. It seems to do that. Probably we need to stake it up. But anyhow, the leaves are used as an aromatic herb. They use it for chicken, fish, and egg dishes. And also the lightly bruised leaves, when you put them into vinegar, they make a nice tarragon flavored vinegar. And also it's been used in folk medicine to treat digestion, appetite, things like that. And this is a perennial plant in the sunflower family. Okay? The next one here is one of my favorites. It's called sage, common sage. And these things grow quite big, as Amanda and I have found. It's a wonderful plant. I just have been using this for teas recently, and it really is nice, especially when you add it to chamomile tea. But it's used as a long history of culinary and medicinal use. Sage has a savory, slightly peppery flavor. It's used in stuffings, pork casseroles, sausages. The distillation process of the essential oil is important. The oil is used in perfumes, cosmetics, soaps, and other products. So sage is really a really very nice plant to have. It grows quite tall, and it's got these beautiful blue flowers a little bit earlier in the spring. It's a perennial plant, an evergreen subshrub in the mint family. Okay, let's go over here and look at the dill, Amanda. Another one of our beautiful signs here by Kelly Williams. Okay, the dill, the leaves and the seeds are used as a herb or spice. So the seeds are starting to form here. Here are the leaves here. And you probably are familiar with dill pickles. So they use them as a spice in pickles. But it's used as a spice for many different foods, all the way to fish. Now this is a biennial, so it only lives a couple years. It's a self-seeding plant, and it's in the celery family. This is called dill. Okay. Now the last one, I think, or the next two are the last two, I guess. I wanted to show you this one. It's called marjoram over here. Now marjoram is very closely related to oregano. Very close. In fact, in the Middle East, it's synonymous with oregano. It's used in seasoning soups, stews, dressings, sauces, and for herbal teas. It's a perennial plant in the mint family. So, to close it off, we're going to talk about bee balm, which is a little bit further down. You notice our beautiful formal garden here with the chrysanthemums and the roses here still. It's really nice. So here's bee balm. Quite a tall specimen, don't you think? At the other end of the garden, they're not nearly as tall. I think this gets more sun over here. So the crushed leaves right here, They exude a spicy, fragrant, essential oil. Two species of bee balm have a long history of use as medicinal plants by the Native Americans. For example, the Blackfoot used the plants as poultices for skin infections and wounds. It's also used to alleviate stomach and bronchial ailments, to treat mouth and throat infections. And the boiled leaves have been used to treat headache and fever. This genus Monarda includes both annual and perennial plants, but this one is a perennial we have right here. So that's sort of the end of our little tour of the herb garden. We think herb gardens are essential in teaching young children about gardens and how they were used and developed over the eons of time. And well, thank you very much, and please come to the garden and enjoy our beautiful backyard with the shade trees and places to sit, and come out here during the week, and it's free out back here. So thank you very much.